Hi, I'm Isamaya and welcome to this Ask Me Anything series where I answer the questions that you send me either in the comments below or via Instagram DM. So the first question is, how do I prep my skin for a shoot or anybody else's skin? So the first thing I always do, Bioderma or some other kind of micellar water. And I either take just a water-based wipe or a cotton pad, and I basically just cover it with the water and I just give the face a really good cleanse. Get all of that makeup off. And then I begin to exfoliate. So sometimes I like to use these handy little like finger socks, and they're really good because you can just basically rub all the areas that you need to exfoliate. You can exfoliate your lips really well. Like this. You basically just want to create a really nice clean canvas, and then you can begin to moisturize. So obviously everybody's different. Barbara Sturm's a really good general moisturize, getting really in and give the face a really good massage. So go in with your fingers like that and try and work upwards like that, and don't forget to massage your forehead as well, any tension underneath the eyes. Kind of just keep brushing upwards like that, and then of course just rub down the neck just for a little bit of lymphatic drainage like that. Other creams that I like to use are SkinCeuticals. I love Avene. A lot of those French pharmacy brands are really good. Adam de Cruz has his own cream which is excellent. So the next step is to take one of these. So normally I would keep this ball in the freezer, and I would basically just, after I've done my moisturizing part, I would just roll it around my face, on my neck, and this has a liquid inside, so it keeps it really cold, and that helps to like tighten the blood vessels in your skin, in your face, create that really nice tightened look. And I might do this for a while. If you're on set or if you can't afford one of these, you can use these guys. So you can take an apple and you can put it in the freezer, and you can basically do exactly the same thing. And then Coke cans, often what I like to do is just to put them under the neck, especially if you're a bit older and you get quite puffy around your jaw. A couple of really cold Coke cans just sitting under the jaw for a while will really help to kind of depuff your face. And obviously you can, they're metal and you can kind of use them, you can roll them as well if you want. So a common question I get asked is how to create like a really beautiful natural skin that doesn't look like you've had any foundation, basically the kind of no makeup look. So the best way of doing that is with a mix of concealer and foundation, and using them really sparingly. What people often get wrong is they'll take their concealer, they'll shove their finger on it or whatever, and they'll kind of like jam it over their blemishes or wherever. What I would suggest is you take a tiny little brush like this one. My good friend Adam de Cruz, who is like the king of skin, taught me this technique. Basically, if you take your concealer, right now I'm just using this Laura Mercier, with this little brush, you want to create a little series of cross hatches around the blemish. So for example, take this one right here. I'm just gonna take the little brush and I'm just gonna draw some tiny little lines across it, and that way as well. And I'm basically just gonna pat them. And you can kind of do that under the eyes as well. Lots of little tiny cross hatching that just kind of allow a hint of the natural skin to come through, but also helps to hide any kind of discoloration. Another question I often get asked is how to use concealer under your eyes and not totally erase that kind of 3D-ness. You know, if you put a lot of concealer under your eyes, you can end up looking very flat. Well, I actually don't put that much concealer under my eyes because I feel like your eyes and your eyebrows are there to kind of create a balance. You need a bit of colour under your eye to complete the circle. But what I would suggest is that you always take something that has a slightly pinkier tone. Obviously the pinkier tone helps to get rid of any dark, like darker shades. Just put it on the area very gently with your finger. So for example, I've got this MAC concealer here, and I'm gonna just literally take the tiniest amount there on my little finger like that, and I'm just gonna pop it just not right up to the lash line, but just in the in that kind of crease where the darkness meets the rest of my skin. And then I'm gonna like bring that lightness down here as well to kind of like blend it into the rest of my face. So I never work in this area, it's always just under here, and that's a much more natural way of using under eye concealer. So the next question is how to paint on freckles. Well, I would suggest when you do this, try to keep as much of this area of your face free of makeup, because that will help to blend the product into your skin much more kind of seamlessly, because you'll already have like, you know, markings and that kind of thing. And I would suggest take lots of different colors of pencil when you do it, pencil or fine eyebrow pen. So I would basically start by taking one and just doing some tiny little dots. It's very, very soft. I wouldn't go any darker than that for now. And then I would basically just go around with my finger like this and just sort of gently tap on them so that they kind of disappear a little bit into the skin. And now I'm going to take another colour. I'm going to take the Glossier pen now. This one is a water-based pen, and it's even finer now, so I'm just going to go over and around and just do a couple more dots. And now finally I'm getting even lighter here. I'm going back to my MAC, and I'm just gonna continue to make these little marks. So the second part of this is where it gets a little bit trickier, but this is perfect if you want to create a really, really natural freckle look. I'm gonna be mixing some concealer with some alcohol, and then I'm gonna basically flick it all over my face with a toothbrush. So I'm gonna use a bit of a darker color than I would naturally for my own skin, just so that you can see how it shows up. Fuck. Essentially, you want to take your concealer like that, and then you want to take your alcohol and you basically want to mix it into quite a kind of watery, you can see that there, but I basically just poured the alcohol in there into a watery solution and just mix it up with a toothbrush like that. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to have a kind of setting effect to that concealer. So when you do spray it like that, it will really set. And obviously the thicker you make it, the denser the freckles are going to be. So I've made it fairly light for now, but I'm basically just going to close my eyes and just spray it like that. So now you leave that to dry, and then you can go around and just tidy up any kind of little bits with your finger. Just dab onto any bits that feel like they were a little bit too kind of chunky when they came out, because you still want them to be quite sort of small and natural. And then finally, to tie everything together, I'm going to take a little bit of bronzer and I'm just going to pop it around my cheekbones like this and kind of blend it a little bit up across my nose. And that actually partly helps to set the product, but it also helps to give you that kind of actual sun-kissed look. Best face tapes. Well, these are always the ones that I use. The Mark Trainer ones, they're really good. I think you can probably get them on Amazon, I'm not sure. But they're really kind of like industry standard. If you want to make your own face tapes, you can use double-sided tape. You can cut a piece of tape, make a little hole in the end, and then just thread some elastic through, and then that should really help to kind of secure them kind of, you know, as tight as you need to. Don't forget to put a little bit of alcohol wherever you plan to put your tape first, just so that it doesn't slide off, because that can happen when you have greasy skin. Contouring tips. Yes, I do have contouring tips. I use anything with a hard edge to create a line between my ear and my lip, and I basically use that as the kind of the line of reference. And what I like to do is I like to take something with a bit of grey in it. So often things like eyebrow products are quite good. This is probably too dark for me, but anything that has kind of a grey in it. Kat Von D has a really great palette, this one, and I love to use this and some of these for contouring. So what I'll do is I'll just take a bit of that grey, like that, put something like this bag or a piece of tissue or something, and I basically just gently work my way down like that. You can see I've created a little line, and then I'll take a thicker brush like that and either go in with that same grey or with something a bit more brown, and I'll just kind of blend it upwards like that. I'll just use my finger there to just kind of soften the edge, but that allows you to have a really good sharp contour line. Another question I get asked is, how do you maintain really good skin when wearing a lot of makeup every day? I don't wear much makeup at all, actually. I basically do just wear moisturizer, which isn't even makeup, concealer, bit of foundation if my skin's a bit red, but I'll literally just kind of like tap it into the areas that need it and then try and let everything else breathe. I'll always wear a vitamin C serum in the morning, so I love SkinCeuticals, I love Drunk Elephant, I love Paula's Choice, and then at night I'll use a cream that has retinol in it, maybe like 3 times a week. So Medicate's a really good brand, Drunk Elephant's a really good brand, 111 Skin's another one that I love, and I just make sure that I cleanse with a kind of clay based or kind of a balmy based cleanser every night, and I don't use anything too stripping on my skin. A little trick that I like to use to create really luminous skin is actually to use a sun cream, because it's got that kind of slightly pearlescent quality to it. So if you use like a factor 30, sometimes factor 50s can be a little bit too whitening, but a factor 30 will have a kind of a little bit of that sort of luminous pigment in that I guess is what's there to prevent the sun damage. And I tend to like rubbing it on my cheekbones, obviously, and then like a little bit down my nose, and that has a really, really lovely natural dewy effect, and it is so much cheaper than some of those really expensive you know, highlighters and stuff, and obviously protects you from the sun. But yeah, that's my tip thing for really like beautiful dewy skin. Just get yourself a really cheap SPF. Thanks so much for watching. Keep sending me your questions and I will do my very best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week.